As soon as we got together, like, she's off birth control. As soon as
we got married, yeah.
As soon as we're together, it's like no birth control, nothing, because I'm not gonna have gay sex. And like, gay sex is more than just like another man and a man. It's just like the idea of looking at sex as such a materialistic thing and just like, oh, well, like, we just have an orgasm and that's fun or whatever. No, like, dude, sex is about having children. It's about having babies. Like, you pump yourself full of birth control and then you have sex with your wife, and like, there's no purpose there except just pleasure. That's the only purpose.
Should people
pleasure.
who are born like infertile have sex?
It depends. Listen, I am pro like people committing to celibacy for the rest of their life. I am pro like that.
Well, this might come as a surprise to a lot of the men watching right now, but if you've ever had sex with a woman and you used contraception, well, that, my friends, was homosexuality. You had gay sex. So you're gay. Congratulations, I guess. I don't make the rules. This is according to the MAGA influencers that we just heard from, Isabella Moody and her husband, Josiah. So this is a tradcon couple who has gone viral for just saying the most outrageous shit imaginable. She once recommended that women find a husband who's misogynistic. She also posted a video of her toddler using racial slurs and said that she's proud of her. She said that we need to normalize calling gay people slurs. They use slurs themselves all the time. And perhaps the most disgusting thing that they've ever done is they joked about their own daughter being ready for one of their male friends when she turns 18. They're saying this about their child, by the way, just extremely creepy and reprehensible. And throughout the interview that we just watched, they both said, again, genuinely insane and outrageous things to YouTuber Luke Beasley, who was interviewing them.
Like, I like to be like funny and outrageous online.
Hey, quiet.
Oh, sorry.
No, women should not be voting.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't vote because women shouldn't vote, but
Democracy is cringe. Segregation's not oppression.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so as you can see, this is kind of their whole shtick. They'll say something hateful, then subsequently go viral because people are shocked to see such overt, unapologetic bigotry. It is quintessential rage bait, and this negative engagement farming that we're seeing is becoming increasingly popular in the influencer era that we're all unfortunately in, not only because it requires no talent or intelligence whatsoever to attract an audience, but because platforms like Twitter now incentivize that kind of behavior, and they pay people to engagement farm like that. So even if most people are tuning in to hate watch it, it doesn't matter, because a view is a view at the end of the day, and advertisers aren't going to pay creators based on their level of satisfaction with the content that they're watching. In other words, those hate mongers are getting paid for the engagement regardless if you love them or hate them. So there's this incentive to say something outrageous and hateful because that gets you eyeballs, and eyeballs get you money. Now, I'll be honest, I've always been torn about how to address these kinds of grifters. I used to think that sunlight was the best disinfectant, but that was when I actually had hope for humanity. But I no longer have that hope, and I think it's just demonstrably untrue. People are becoming more extreme as they get exposed to these kinds of influencers, and Josiah and Isabella are only the tip of the iceberg. There's individuals like Nick Fuentes, the Sneakos of the world, the Andrew Tates of the world, who are leading people down really dark and dangerous paths, especially their young, impressionable audiences who oftentimes happen to be male. And the audiences that they've created are just so massive beyond comprehension across multiple platforms. And what they've done is they've taken settled debates about women's suffrage and segregation, and they've reopened these debates, shifted the Overton window back. And now just this type of vitriol and outright stupidity is being celebrated. All of this is causing society to regress in a way that is truly horrifying, and I don't think that we've collectively thought about the ramifications of this down the road, where it will be in 10 years, 20 years, if this type of bullshit continues. So it's no longer a case that sunlight is the best disinfectant, because these people continue to become more prominent as more people see them. And you can't really hypocrisy burn any of these people. You can't shame them because they have no shame, and they don't care if you spot a contradiction in their argument or point out their hypocrisy, or even if you call them stupid and say that what they're saying is batshit fucking insane, because that doesn't faze them either. Either they don't care or they're not smart enough to understand how stupid they sound. To show you what I mean, there was this moment where Luke was trying to explain the importance of a social safety net, especially to protect children, programs like SNAP and WIC, to make sure that they're getting proper nutrition, and why we should care about this as a society. And Josiah rejected that. And just listen to his reasoning. We're going to play the clip, but just pace yourselves, because this is, I don't even know how to describe it. Just watch.
Right, but when the government
and often
incentivizes
when someone
bad
is a single mother trying to raise children, those kids are going to be malnourished if we don't give them some support.
So, it's such bullshit. They're not going to be malnourished.
Have you met people?
Have you met
any single
mother
mothers?
was a single mother.
Okay, so maybe she was like really successful or something?
No.
Then how did she support?
Yeah, she has boobs. Support. She has boobs, and she eats, and then you get breast milk right there.
So kids only live
malnourished.
Kids
what?
Only wait. That was the most psychotic thing I've ever heard. What, are you still sucking on her? I'm saying that.
Where's the video of me drinking her breast milk? Get that one up.
He did.
Wait,
Jamie, pull that one up.
First of all, you have to. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. You have to be nourished as a mother to give good nourishment to your babies, and then the babies grow out of the sucking phase, and then you still have to feed them.
And then they eat food.
Yeah.
See what I mean? I mean, maybe he was breastfed until he was 18. I don't know. But I mean, there's nothing going on in that fucking head of his. It's just cobwebs and tumbleweeds. So the question is, how exactly can you get through to somebody that far gone? And the answer is you can't. You can't. And to be honest, I think that the overwhelming majority of rage baiters don't actually believe what they're saying. Some do, but not all of them. But at this point, it doesn't matter. That's a distinction without a difference, because regardless if they're being genuine or not, they're still winning people over. People are watching, and even though most might be outraged by the things that they're hearing, some are receptive to those messages. And we're kind of past the point of the whole don't feed the troll days, because I mean, regardless if we choose to engage with these people or not, they have massive audiences, regardless if we say anything. So the question is, what exactly are we supposed to do to reverse the dumbfuckification of society because of these people? And I genuinely don't know. I hope that you weren't coming here for an answer, because I don't know. Even in the most extreme examples like Josiah and Isabella, they're still able to tap into certain grievances that people actually feel. For instance, they milk the Christian persecution complex masterfully. And even though other Christians might not immediately be receptive to their views on women's suffrage, for example, those seeds are still being planted. They become desensitized to these extreme arguments that, actually, maybe women shouldn't be voting. Maybe that's where it all went wrong. I mean, Andrew Tate does this really well with young men. He makes them think that women are to blame for all of their problems. Trump does this with immigrants. He makes all Americans think that immigrants are the cause of all of our problems. And, we talk about rage bait influencers. We have members of Congress who are doing the same thing. Over the past 24 hours, as I record this, Nancy Mace has made more than 100 tweets about the one trans lawmaker that exists, and has successfully got her banned from the bathrooms on the Capitol. I mean, these people, they are genuinely hateful, and people like that hate. They're tapping into hatred, and some people in this country, they thrive on that. They relish in the suffering of others, right? And these types of influencers are only going to become more common as we go deeper into this Orwellian idiocracy that we're currently living in. So I don't know what the solution is, to be honest. But I do know that the problem won't go away if we just ignore it. And we're not going to be able to stop people from grifting. Those people are always going to exist, but we can potentially save their audiences from becoming radicalized if we try to intervene in some way. At a minimum, I think that requires us to just go back to basics and try to educate people about things like women's suffrage and segregation, even though that feels like pointless, because we shouldn't have to do that. We should be taught this in schools. But I mean, look at the state of our public education system in the country. It's been defunded. So it kind of feels like we have to be peer-to-peer educators if we want to try to not be as dumb as a culture. But I mean, another method would be to just harness the rage ourselves, redirect all of that anger that people are feeling towards a new common enemy, the billionaires and our capitalist establishment. We need to let people know that it's not immigrants or women or trans people who are the enemy. It is the ruling class. And that's not going to resonate with everyone because a lot, if not most Americans, are just shitty people who like to be hateful. So class consciousness isn't necessarily the silver bullet that a lot of leftists think that it is. But, I think it's worth a try. And if people want to be victims, let them know how they're actually being victimized. You're not being victimized by seeing gay people on your television, as Josiah and Isabella also argued during that interview. You're actually being victimized by your employer. You're oppressed, not because you're a Christian. You're oppressed because your employer is exploiting your labor. Do you think that the CEO of the company that you work for actually works hundreds of times harder than you? Aren't you mad that you don't get a say when your company makes decisions? You just have to go along with what they say. And to be clear, this isn't the leftist equivalent of the dumbass, we need a liberal Joe Rogan argument, because that's fucking stupid. But what I mean is, I think that we have to try to do this at the individual level in the conversations that we have with peers in real life and on social media. And we need to know who's too far gone and who isn't. I've had conversations with people where it's clear you're not going to reach them. For example, when I spoke with a MAGA family member about policy, it devolved into a whole, if the Democrat wins this election, then the apocalypse is coming, the country will be destroyed, and they're being controlled by demons. Okay, that is not somebody you can reach. But there are other people who you can try and should be able to reach, right? Or I should say, who you can reach and should try to reach. Now, how you do this on a massive scale, I don't know. My platform, it's large and I try to reach people, but really I don't necessarily know if that's gonna help, because these algorithms, they thrive on rage bait. So are you more likely to organically discover the person who's shit-talking immigrants or the person who's trying to fact-check the people who are shit-talking immigrants? We can try, and certainly we'll reach some people, but it kind of feels like we're just farting in the wind at the end of the day, So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't know how to fix this, but I guess we could do our best at the individual level and on social media, maybe. I don't know. To be honest, it might just be too late. But if idiocracy is going to suck the soul out of society, I think it's worth it to at least put up a little bit of a fight before we all go down with it.
Not only can you take a load, you can take the ultimate load, and even better than that you find your true calling and destiny in your willingness to take the ultimate load. Have it your way, buddy.